Hey, you there. Thank you for watching and welcome to Forged Alliance Forever. Today I have a 5v5 custom match on the map Volcano Beach. This is a little bit different of a cast. Normally I cast players at about 12, 13 up onwards to again the 25, 2600s. But today I'm going to be focusing on the lower side of things, casting a match containing 300 to the 1000 rated players. Let's go ahead and introduce them today, starting with Team 1 here in the northeastern side with the white player of the Knox House going first land in white as a UEF. Next to him we have Void Overlord going first land in purple as a Cybran. West of him we have Civittal going first land as a Aeon in royal blue. Or navy blue, excuse me. Behind them in the rearguard air slot, we have Bellet Drain. Wow, I can't speak English. I'm going Belly today. That's a long. Oh, Beleg Tur Name. It looks like an M. Those two, the R and the N together. Last but not least for Team 1, we have the Beast 2323 going first land as a Seraphim in yellow, and again name is going first air in UEF as teal. I got thrown off by the name. Team 2 down here in the southwestern corner, starting off in the front, we have Aldermaster going first land as a Seraphim in red. Next to them we have Zerwerk going first air, interesting choice, going Aeon in green. In the rearguard air slot for Team 2, we have McNace going first air as a UEF in rust. Next to them, we have me going first land and crimson as a UEF. And last but not least, for Team 2, down here at the bottom, already on the move, we have Eld Bareth going first land, second, third, fourth, fifth, all land every day. And again, like I mentioned before, this is on Volcano Beach. It is a 10v10 map. Not the smallest, but not the biggest. So not a whole lot of space for our players to move around. We have a decent amount of early mech marines out on a recon patrol for this middle section. There's two hydros here, a decent amount of energy on the field. But again, that's early energy, and you get the T2 and hydros become pretty much obsolete. But a decent amount of mass points kind of dotted around. There's sections of 2 all over the place. And then a couple in the water. A small little island in the northwest section. Pretty much enough space to put a couple mass points, a shield, and maybe some anti-air. And that's really about it. There's not a whole lot of space over there. Yeah, let's look at Reclaim right now. Looks like there most of it's surrounding this volcano. And it does kind of spew out these volcano bits. I don't remember if they actually can do damage to your units as that mech marine takes a hit, so you got to watch out for that. It is an environmental hazard. There aren't a lot of those in this game, so it is a different map, so be aware of that if you ever watch or play on Volcano Beach. Again, pretty much most of our players are going to be huddled around this center section right here, around these two lanes. There'll be this upper and the lower section pretty much. Nice place to put some T2 RD, maybe some T2 PD as well. Upper position, harder for units on the bottom to attack. And again, today's cast is going to primarily focus on things that can be improved on. Of course, that's every cast, but specifically because these are lower ranked players, they're not going to be as skilled, as refined as higher ranked players. So I'm going to do my best to point out things that could be done to improve and work on, even for me, and for, of course for everyone watching, because every cast, every game that we play is about learning, about improving, about becoming better at the game that we all know and love. We have gun range and gun speed and range upgrades going down for two of the players here in the middle, one for Savid and one for Aldermaster. I'm going to call him Alder. Again, we have some comms coming out onto the front line. Good to see all of those comms, all that firepower, pretty much establishing a forward line, pretty much the battle lines here on this map. It is a vertical split down the middle with this volcano here. We have some more spewing out of this magma. Comment down below if you know the reference I just made. And it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and I don't think it does drop mass as well. So controlling this island, I keep calling this an island. Controlling this volcano, I mean, it's not going to spit out a whole lot of reclaim, but I mean, if you control the volcano, that's a decent amount of mass it's spewed out. I mean, those are 150 chunks. Like, you know, you can do a decent amount with that. We have early aggression down here in the middle next to this volcano. This engineer out from Team 2 doing his best to defend against this onslaught of T1 forces. We have a decent amount of variety of units. We have some Lobos. We had some anti-air. We have, again, more forces coming in. We have some tanks as well. The comm of Nox here establishing a forward positioning line, getting that mechs, getting that early mass collection up and running. We have another group of T1 units moving into support. Looks like this is going to be the main battle position of the game. Again, if you're worried about damage from environmental, maybe not the best point, but getting some shields up. I don't know how much damage it does. It does some AoE damage, of course, but I don't know how much damage it does to the actual like structures or shields or anything like that. Good to see some Lobos mixed in as well, taking out a decent amount of this hit points on these structures and preventing that early energy from being gathered up. We have a T2 upgrade in the middle, rooted on the spot. I mean, it's good to see that he's doing it behind the main force, but if he gets pushed, he might have to cancel that. So just be aware that when you do upgrade, if you're not in a secure spot, it's probably not a good idea to have an upgrade, put an upgrade down. We have T2 finished for Aldermaster. His, again, was pretty far forward, but there's no aggression out from Team 1, so it's perfect. Intel, intel, intel. Pretty much the most important thing you can have in this game, because the more you know, the more you can prepare for. And we have units out from multiple players from Team 1 reinforcing this position up here in the middle. We have the comm of Eldereth 11 getting a vet, getting that hit point, getting that regen up, making him a formidable force in the middle. Nox is using his comm as pretty much a PD installation, which isn't a bad idea. But again, if he gets swarmed, he's going to have to cancel that, which his forces are starting to die out. We have a possible run by on the cards, kind of behind the front line. Unfortunately, these units are not moving. So what I would have done is I would have come in behind the comm of Aldermaster and maybe taken out the forward factories, the radar for sure. We have especially with this push coming in from your teammate over here, being able to pretty much flank the enemy and force them to either retreat or to divert more resources and units to be assigned. I would like to see units coming in around this hillside right here, because there's no action going on over here. And you could have sent a couple, Lobos. I mean, there is a T1 PD, but you could have sent these Lobos, these Auroras. They outrange the PD. T1 already just taking out those installations. They are getting up those T1 PD to prevent the run by, which is good. But I would like to see some units as well, because this early stage and even later stage, PD can only do so much. We have some Ilshis on the field, those T2 mobile PD moving up and getting that nice juicy reclaim secure. Again, lots of reclaim here on the front lines. Would have liked to see some engineers. Again, these are lower rated players, so they're not going to be super focused on reclaim. I feel like between getting upgrades for your comm and getting the reclaim, those are like the two biggest things you could probably do as a lower ranked player to just rapidly improve, because you'll have more mass and you'll have more knowledge about how to use that mass more effectively. We do have the comm of Beast moving into support and cover his teammate here. This is a no-share game. So if you die, all of the units, all of the structures you built are destroyed. I do like to see this early aggression out from the air player of Name, getting these Janus out. Would like to see, yes, they are going to come back in for another run, going after this comm, especially with some aggression coming out from the north. But again, probably would have devoted more resources over here to these Ilshis, take these out, and then the comm is pretty much exposed and forced to go back, which he's forced to go back anyways. But you can do more lasting damage to these Ilshis because it'll take time to bring those Ilshis back to the front line. Team 2 has full control of this middle section over here, this kind of hillock. Getting down a PD, securing it, very good. Would like to see some shields, would like to see some anti-air. But again, you have your teammate over here with some Janus, so if you had some bombers or so, they could easily be diverted over there. In the water, there is some water on this game. And unfortunately for Team 1, they have the advantage. They have all of these units here that could go in and take out this T2 Naval Headquarters and pretty much lock out Team 2 of the Navy. That might bite them in the butt because if they're able to establish sub-hunters, destroyers, this force is easily destroyed. Like a couple destroyers and those subs are destroyed. Frigates won't do enough damage. I mean, it's good that these units are here and that they're built preventing any run-bys or any attacks, but you could have easily taken out this factory. And now there's torpedo bombers on the scene, and they're going to do massive damage to these frigates. And it's just, you can see those hit points just getting shredded in that explosion coming in from those torpedo bombers as well. We have sonar up here. Would have liked to see that a little bit farther forward, but it is secured in that backline behind that island, as well as more factories. Again, you could take the water and you could hit multiple bases with cruisers, with T2, even T3 battleships or in destroyers. You could just shell all of this position. But back here in the middle of the map, we have another push out from Team 1 coming down the hill, going to attack the comm of Alderman. He is on an upgrade. He's rooted to the spot. We have another fight going on the other side. You can see it. More Janus coming in, attacking the comm, getting a decent amount of damage down on them, dropping him a couple thousand hit points, but again, not amounting to a whole lot. We have this huge area over here. I mean, there are some mass points. There's one Mantis just hanging out, you know, all by himself. Just, you know, just seeing the view, standing next to the volcano. Hopefully he doesn't get hit, because anyway, it's pretty close to that one right there. But there's mass points down here. There's mass points here. There's 5 mass points that you could easily get, and you could easily come in, take out these 2 mass points, and then come in the back line and have a flanking maneuver. You do have the comm of Nox pretty far forward with some, at least one couple PD into support. So he has something to fall back to. Very important to do. He's getting another PD down, almost done as well. I would like to see... Oh, did we missed an explosion? Oh, that might just be a departure from the game. Nothing killed him. And that is sad, especially for a no-share game, because all of his structures, all of his units are just dead in the water. We do finally have that naval factory has been taken out. Would like to see some cruisers, would like to see, you know, better anti-air. We are having that push, like I mentioned earlier, around this little hillock here, and they're going to charge in. There is no getting around that. We do have a push out to this force, but again, not enough units to take over that position, and all these units just bottlenecking, hanging out over here. You have a run-by, you have a huge force moving in on this western side, and you can divert a decent amount of these Ilshis. Just put them on an attack move. Just say, hey, go that way. And a lot of these units are going to be killed off. Would be killed off if they were moved. This position you're not going to be able to take. It's not worth it. Or send some units in over here around the other edge of the I keep saying island of the volcano, and while those forces were distracted over here, push all the way around. Like, he can see, like, oh, they're pushing, we should go this way. Like, yeah, it's going to take you a little longer, but you could go all the way around, and that would definitively force these units back, because there's an intel installation here that provides a decent amount of range. Like, you can see all of this. So they'll see it coming. But you can at least pull their attention. You have the comm of Zork under fire from all of these Zoos as well as these tanks. He's got to keep... You can't stop. When you're being hit by artillery, you cannot stop. You have to keep on moving. You cannot... You stop for a couple seconds, and that's thousands of hit points. Just destroy... And there he goes. He's dead. Taken out. Does take out those T1 tanks and artillery, though. Prevents more damage. But his infrastructure is going to go down, being scooped up by his teammates. We do have another push in this mid section of the map, this hillock. Volcano, fire, magma raining down from the heavens, going right in the middle of these massive armies. It does do an EMP blast, takes about, I think, half the hit points off an Ilshi. So again, not a whole lot of damage, but that could mean defeat or victory if you're able to nullify a couple of these Ilshis for a couple seconds. That's a missed opportunity. Those intel installations, those radars are not... They don't have a lot of hit points. And that's intel you can easily just take. And that would take resources and time to build back up. And maybe moving an army around while that intel is down. That's a loss. Yeah, they're taking out the PD, which is good. But take that intel out. I feel like a higher rate of players would see, oh, that's a really easy target to take out and just destroy outright. And the rest of these forces out from Team 1 are going to bop up these Ilshis, and that's a missed opportunity. Would like to see engineers on the front line, just reclaiming all of this mass. Look, more and more of those mass being dropped from the magma. Just all this mass. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mass points, 6 mass points still not claimed. There's T1 mass extractors. I mean, some of these are on the front lines. Yeah, those are why those destroyed. Send some units back up to this hill. Take these. They were destroyed. And you just got to remember, oh, you know, my opponent died. All of his stuff was destroyed. It doesn't get transferred over. Okay, I should probably claim it. Because this is what Team 2 can see. They can easily see that these haven't been taken, or at least they haven't seen it in a while. And these haven't been taken. So you can easily go back and get those. We have T3 air finished for McNace. He is patrolling with his ASS, making sure there aren't any sneaky flybys. And I feel like this is just, it's a missed opportunity for Team 1 and for Team 2. But you have multiple avenues of attack that just are not being utilized. You're like, oh, there's this one lane, pretty much, and we'll just send all of our units down that one lane and call it good. And yeah, that could work if you have the advantage and your opponent isn't really that established. However, the more you attack the same line of defense, the more defenses are going to be built up. You have to sneak in around the back, go over, go under in some cases, and I guess go in the water and go around. I guess you can't really go under. You can't like dig underneath the ground. That'd be very interesting and very complicated. The new Sanctuary game that's being developed, like it's some destructible terrain, so that'd be a pretty cool concept to just like destroy the ground underneath the like turrets or PD or something, and just have it just collapse and just just be destroyed that way. We have another push out from Team 2. We have some PD creep. That's also good, helping to support the frontline troops. But unfortunately for Team 2, yeah, let's focus down the comm. Let's focus down the comms. Yeah, that's an idea. That's not a bad idea, but you just don't have enough forces to do that. And that's another opportunity where you could have taken out that intel. Because Team 1 is not going to upgrade it to an Omni. At least they shouldn't, because it's super far forward. And there's constant fighting over here. I mean, you have a decent amount of force here. You could easily just run by that and go after the Calm of Beast or go after the Calm of Void. I mean, yeah, they're getting defenses down, which is good to see, to prevent possible run-bys. But it's just, forces are just stacked, kind of just hanging out. Again, more push, more magma raining down from the skies. These tanks are far out of position. You need to move them back over here with the other the other guys. You have shields coming online, which is really good. Tanks and whatnot. Because so constant reinforcements flowing to this hillock over here. All of this mass. Look at it. Look at all of those numbers. I need to get that reclaim mod to like help clean this all up. But it's just Team 2 is like, this is the hill that we die on, quite literally. And there's all this mass that can be claimed. We do see, there are engineers on the front line, but they're not getting mass. And casting a bunch of like high rated games, you're like, mass is so important. Like reclaim is so important. They did take out that radar installation, which is really good. Because now Team 1 is relatively blind. You can see they kind of know of some stuff. Because I think there's another intel. I feel like there should be another intel radar installation somewhere. I mean, I feel like they've got to have one somewhere. Maybe they have one in the back line. Anyway, answer down in the comments and timestamp it about I couldn't find the radar because I feel like they do have a radar probably back there somewhere. I just don't see it. We see the naval units from Team 1, the yellow player of Beast, moving in, taking out this naval factory, pretty much locking out Team 2 of the Navy. We do have some defenses, T2 being able to fire on that Navy, which is very good. And this PD specifically very good at taking out T1 units. But we just have more and more units and more mass being funneled onto this main hillside, and it's just not working for Team 2. You gotta attack somewhere else. You don't want Team 1 to build up, which is true, but don't just keep throwing mass at the problem. It's not going to do anything. That radar installation gets built right back up. Yeah, it doesn't take very long to build it back up, but they lost that intel. That could mean that you get some strat bombers in behind. That could mean that you're able to get a decent sized army around, or an experimental like half the way to its objective, and then by the time they know about it, it's pretty much too late. The element of surprise is very important in subcom, or especially in FAF, because if the enemy doesn't know what you're doing, then you can do a whole lot of things and they won't have any defense for it. We have some probing attacks and a patrolling going on. You can see kind of moving around this other northwestern side. But again, look at this. There's now that mass point's down. There are 6 mass points not being utilized. Plus these mass points up here. Plus these mass points that are up here that have been in Team 2's control for a very long time. I mean, yeah, they lost a player and he had that position, but you need the mass. You need stuff to spend with. And if you look at generated eco as of right now, Team 1 is leading by over 200 mass. No, I have mass income. Mass total? Yeah, just making sure. Almost 300. That's insane. That's an insane amount of mass to be leading by. And Team 1 is the average, I would say. They have, between 500 and 800 versus 300 and 1,000. And it is 92%. Yeah, it's kind of hard to judge that sometimes, especially lower ranks, because one player might have more, a lot more experience. He's just maybe lower ranked, and that can mean the difference. But players do their best to try to balance as much as they can. So sometimes there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Nano repair going online for Void Overlord, getting that regen even quicker up. We have a gun speed and range going down for Elbereth. He could easily send this force and just go whoop. They'll see it, and then once his allies, Me, notices that these forces are being pulled away, he comes in with his forces, and they pretty much do a pincer maneuver around this volcano. And yeah, maybe you won't get a whole lot done because they'll see it coming, but you could just go, okay, we're just going to go straight into the base and just go for it. We have some skyhooks bringing in some units from the back line. This is very good reducing travel time, allowing for more and more forces to be deployed to the front line. That's a very, very good move. 10 by 10 isn't that bad, but especially on 20 by 20, having a supply line just constantly resupplying quicker and quicker is very good. ASFs just come in and easily take these out, which is the risky move, but if your opponent isn't really paying attention, perfect opportunity. We have some T3 units, these loyalists online here in the middle. We also have some hoplites kind of hanging out, and we just have just PD, and we have these missile launchers. They're just shelling the enemy. These units aren't moving, and so they're just easy targets. Unfortunately for Team 2, they're fighting up a hill, and yet when you zoom all the way out, you don't notice it for the most part, but when you zoom all the way in and turn the camera, you're like, oh, they're shooting up a hill, so it's harder for our PD to hit them. Missiles, nah, it doesn't matter. But the PD specifically, especially direct fire PD, you need to know what the terrain looks like. That shield should be priority number one. Yeah, getting a attack missile defense also very good. But they're going to charge in. That PD could have been online, protecting these units here. There's lots of PD in the mix, kind of preventing a lot of these forces from getting in there. Loyalist runs in, disables a lot of those units, and that emboldens the purple player of Void to move his forces in. And that's another thing, you've got to be aware of faction benefits of, oh, the Loyalists, when they die, they have an AoE EMP explosion, and that could disable some units long enough for me to kill them without taking damage. And in the FAF world, free damage is amazing. Like, you dealing damage to the enemy without taking any damage in return, that's just like chef's kiss. It's just nice. And we have this huge force now grouping up here on this on this lower side of the hill, and it's pretty much just build units, send them to this hill, and just wait, and then attack, and then wait, and then attack, and then wait. We have some artillery being launched over at this fire base here for the yellow player of Beast, and a lot of these players, again, you can see the difference between high-rated and low-rated players. High-rated players, they're aggressive, they're very mindful of their resources, they're on the reclaim game, they need their intel, they get their ASFs up and running. Like, Team 1 has, like, hardly any ASFs. Team 2 could be super aggressive with their ASFs, lock Team 1 out of the air, and then spam strat bombers, and that's basically game. Unless Team 1 and they have a couple SAMs, but obviously not a whole lot. Team 2 in the water over here getting established back in the Navy, and we have this huge fight, just more and more and more units being just launched at the enemy constantly. Like, we even have some Ravagers on, like this is literally the hill to die on. Look at this. Look at all of the T1 artillery just being launched at one another, and all of that mass. We have some Percivals. Whoopsie, I apologize. We have some Percivals in the back line. We just have anything and everything that these players can throw at each other just being lobbed constantly. Just all of that action, all of that. They were able to take out that radar, though, which is very important. We turn on all the things again so we see what's going on. There we go, my camera reset. It just takes a second for the camera to reset. Stop popping up. It's very annoying. If anybody knows how to disable that mass fabricator panel, I greatly appreciate it. Because it pops up once in a while. I'm like, no, stop it. And Team 1 gets the benefit of, again, all of this mass. There is probably close to, I'd say, 15,000 mass here. Just hanging out. We have some Percivals, these Percy's online, very good. The Knox House comm being shot by a bunch of missiles and what? Oh, actually, those are strat bombers, excuse me, not missiles. And this comm is pretty far forward. Couple strat bombers in the mix. Where are the ASFs from Team 1? They need to be here, and the ASFs from Team 2 protecting these strat bombers. You need anti-air, and you need it now. And the comm of Nox is most likely going down. He's trying to dance, trying to move out of the way. Need shields. Get those parashields under you. Trying to dance, trying to avoid those strat bombers coming in for another hit. Boom, 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 boom. That is a kill for Team 2, and it is now a 4v3 in favor of Team 2. The strat bombers are now on a collision course. I don't know what they're on a collision course with. Oh, just the rest of the defenses. And all of that goes down. All that, the radar, the factories, everything goes down, and that will force Team 1 to pull back, giving Team 2 a wider area of the map to stretch their wings. And because of that, this emboldens the force out from the red player of Aldermaster to start going after all these auxiliary buildings and structures. You could easily just keep going all the way around. You can notice, I think a lot of people have noticed this by now, again, the southern section of the map is not being used. It bothers me a lot, because normally this would be a lane. You'd have this, you'd have the other side of the volcano, you'd have this main section, and of course you'd have this edge along the beach. And Team 2, Aldermaster, now they're established in the water. I don't know why Zerwick built his factory so far forward, but these T2 torpedo launchers are going to prevent a lot of these non-existent naval forces from getting by. There could be a factory up and running. There could be, you know, T2 destroyers, even T3 at this point, and just either teams could have easily just swept the ocean, been like game over, and the game, you know, it's, you know, in 20, like by now the game could have been over. Like, had the yellow player of the beast taken Navy, built up more Navy, come back, held the Navy here, and just constantly threw more and more missiles and plasma, and all of this would be gone. But now they've pulled all the way back. All the forces are pulled all the way back. Factories are in disarray. There's some line of forces here on the hill, but Team 2 could easily just go, no, that's ours now. See ya, bye. And looks like there is some, yeah, noticing that there's a problem here this run, right? We have some of these broadswords out, deal with a lot of this force. There aren't any anti-air in the mix, unfortunately, for the red player of Aldermaster. And a lot of those forces are going to be shielding his gunships with ASFs. Very good move. But again, this force being emboldened, I would like to see move his forces in as well. It's still strictly only T1 forces though. Seeing a couple T2 mixed in there, but 31 minutes in, should already have T3, should already have, you know, a whole bunch of tools in your toolbox by now. I mean, Team 1, I mean, Team 2 has caught up with the generated eco a lot, a significant amount. Team 1 is still leading in the total mass accrued, but Team 2 is catching back up. It takes them a minute. It takes them a minute to get back up and running. But I mean, his 300 rating shows he still doesn't have T3 tech. You don't need to build multiple HQs. You just need to build one. I mean, it's nice to have a backup. Of course, it's always nice to have backups, but you don't need it, especially because you're not even being pressured. And warned, like, oh, maybe I'd have one in the back line kind of thing. He didn't send his comm forward, at least not in the beginning. I don't know if he's even moved his comm at all this game. You got to use your comm. I know it's risky. It's not a full share game. It's a no share game. I mean, it is risky, but that early on you could have got the middle a lot faster. We have a spy plane flight coming in, getting a readout of what's going on. This is very good. Do like to see this. Get a wide berth of what's going on. Maybe spread these out a little more so you can get a faster readout. Like lots of ASFs being built. You're like, okay, that's good to know. Now the ASFs have caught the scent. Did they catch those? No. Oh, I guess they don't have vision. And we have a huge wing of strategic bombers going down, going after the comm of Void Overlord. Sorry for the cameraman. And that is another kill for Team 2. It is now it's a 4v2 in with the I've lost my train of thought. With the advantage for Team 2. And more of those defenses go down. Team 1, they need a victory. They need a kill. They just need They just need a win right now, and anything would do it for them. Would have liked to see maybe some of these strat bombers go back in, maybe target some of the mass points just to kind of delay any more defenses coming up. There's a Novax going online. 33 minutes in, that's not bad. The only issue is you have nothing to defend you on the land. There's so much mass. Look at all this mass. 30,000, 20,000. Like, you can build a couple monkey lords with that. Get some defenses up and running. You know, reclaim. So very important. And it's not till I started watching higher rated matches that I noticed that they prioritize reclaim like it's going out of style. Like the amount of engineers that end up blocketing the skies, or I guess the ground of, and the sea of matches is just insane. Kind of a lull period. Again, we see that the mass totals have now flipped. Team 2 is leading by about 180, between 60 and 80. Generated, or in total mass, still about 100k advantage for Team 1. That is going to slowly dissipate. We do have another force of naval units out from Team 1 going after these torpedo bombers. With Team 1 subs, that's not going to work. T3 Naval Headquarters is now online, and they are building sub hunters. Those T3 submarines out from the Seraphim. Very fast fire rate. They are those Yasals. They are weak in terms of hit points, but they do lots of damage. And yeah, maybe they took out one torpedo launcher, but that was it. And you killed like 6 or 7 T1 subs. There is a cruiser online in the back, but again, you can see that the priorities on getting teched up, getting your mass sorted, scooping up all of the mass you can, scavenging all of the mass points that you can from the map. Like, yes, 35 minutes in, and we're seeing these mass points finally being claimed by somebody in the game. This one still hasn't been claimed, and these two haven't been claimed as well. Again, mass points up here that haven't been claimed in Team 2's territory. It's not going to be assaulted anytime soon. At least, of course, not that they know of. But as you can see with full vision, there's nowhere. We have missile... No, those are artillery preventing any sort of streaming in of units. Multiple armies being built on this hill. This hill was like, at least for this match, the most important spot in the game in terms of action. And a lot of that mass starting to be scooped up. Finally seeing that reclaim being prioritized. Again, would have liked to see that like 34 minutes ago. But, I mean, better late than never. Anything juicy going on in the back line? We have a couple mass grids. Again, you don't need to build multiple T3 factory headquarters or any headquarters. Just build one and then have all the factories assist the main factory. So, again, that might not be clear to everyone, and sometimes we forget. But again, one headquarters is all you need. Having backups is fine, but you only need one. Oh, I guess they still haven't scooped up that old factory. That's 1,000 mass just sitting there. Yasau's being built up, those sub-hunters. That'll wreck all of these frigates, especially because frigates can't fire back against any underwater unit submarines of any type. We have some Janus that's online. I mean, yeah, we're getting some ASF built up, some gunships built up. That's good. But Team 2 has the full... Like, Team 2 could win the game. They just said control all your units and just go move, and they win. Taking out all the air, taking out everything, they'd win right now. But lower ranked players tend to be on the defensive side, and that not most of the time, at least I'd say 40% of the time, could mean the difference between between who wins and loses. Because look, there's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing here. Like, this is a masterclass in it. You could win the game right now if you were just more aggressive. And unfortunately for both teams, they just don't notice it. We have that satellite. It's online coming over. And one satellite's not going to do a whole lot. Would like to see more satellites built up. Maybe this will embolden Team 2 to say, okay, no, they have a Novax. Can't allow this. Let's go take it out. Build up some strat bombers, which are being built as of right now. Send in some spy planes. Get the location of that Novax and just go click. I don't know what that Novax... Now that Novax is just hanging out. Wouldn't like to see... Go for the infrastructure. One of the most important things you can do with the Novax is go for those auxiliary mass extractors, power generators. There's an OS washer under construction. We have a nuke eliminator. I mean, that's really good to have. We have shields, of course, protecting your base. Again, very important. Again, the magma coming from that that volcano takes out a huge section of those forces. Probably like a dozen or so units were killed in that explosion from the magma. We have an experimental built from Team 1. It is a Fat Boy. That's a good defensive unit. Not a lot of hit points, but it can shell a decent amount of emplacements. Send that to the front line, but unfortunately, these strat bombers are on a collision course with something, and they're not going to get by. Some of them might. No. Maybe a couple of them will launch bombs. One launches a bomb. Two of them launch a bomb. They go after the shield, maybe the power gen, but doesn't really do a whole lot. Packs the shield. We have Atlantis being built up. One of them almost completed. Again, one of my favorite units. Does kind of look like a rocket though, especially with the tail. You have the wings and the engines, and it's very like cylindrical, and it is kind of pointy. On the tip. That's very important. It has to be pointy. Again, another movie reference. I'm just full of movie references and whatnot. The calm of the beast in the water. That's a very good move. Don't want any strat bombers coming and finding you and blowing you up, since that's how 2 players have died so far on Team 1. But again, like, no aggression. It's just, we'll sit, and that's it. We have an experimental build out from Team 2. That nuke eliminator was Control Cade? I don't know what happened with no, it was hit by the Novax. Okay, that makes way more sense. See, that's a good move with the Novax, taking out that anti-nuke that was just not shielded. Would have liked to see maybe this Novax devoted to this build power over here to prevent the building of the experimental bomber, but you know, it is doing some work, so you gotta applaud them when they do good work. They are building T2 power farms in the middle of the map when you could building T3 power. How much mass is he? He's only bringing 39 mass, while his teammates are bringing in almost 200 each. Like, you gotta get your you gotta upgrade those mexes. I don't know how many games he's played. He does have a T3 land factory headquarters. That's good to see. I just think he just needs more. I think me just needs more experience with the game. One of the best things you can do is play the campaign. Play the campaign. It'll teach you all the basics, how to upgrade, how to tech up, how to balance your eco for the most part. It's basic strategies, like all of that. Just play the campaign. And I like the campaign. It's actually a pretty good campaign. We have an attack out from these broadswords going after the battleship, and if they stay on that battleship, they will kill it. The anti-air from these Yasows are not, there's not a lot of damage, and as you can see, they just completely demolish these Yasows. They could have priority these Yasows, taking them out, and then focused on the battleship, but the ASF come in from Team 2 and just wreck shop. We have an Atlantis has been built. It is not submerged. It's using its anti-air guns. Very good to see again with that cruiser as well. We have a couple of these lightning tanks. Those aren't lightning tanks. Where are the lightning tanks? There's a lightning tank. There it is. Again, good anti-air. You just need more of it. When you see your opponent focus air, you focus anti-air, and then it becomes nullified, and then they have to focus on something else. Or you go anti-air, and then on the side do like an artillery. So then you're doing something to try to attack back. Because being defensive at some point will just kill you in this game. You cannot win by being defensive. You have to attack at some point. You just have to. There's no way you can win by being straight defensive. because the enemy could build 50 of these things and just bomb you to death. And that experimental bomber releases its bomb, goes in to attack the Atlantis, takes all of that most of that T2 Navy. That sub does pop underneath the water, but almost half of its hit points are evaporated from that bomber. Bomber goes back into view off the map. These ASFs need to prioritize that bomber. It's just like, oh, what do I attack? We have another experimental out from the beast. Again, remember that Aswasher does have some anti-air capabilities. Not a lot, just like the Tsar. Not a lot, but it, something's better than nothing. Looks like he built another Atlantis, so he's going Atlantis spam. He does have some RASCOMs. That's also good to see. Aswasher overhead, going after this land army. It's going to land. Impacts the shield, but does some penetrating damage. Takes about a third of that force down and is supported by these ASFs. ASFs rush in, try to attack, and then the ASFs come in and be like, no, not today. Takes out the ASFs, leaves this force vulnerable, goes in for another bomb, and deals pretty much 90% of the kills and death to that force. That was the last land army that Team 1 had. They have a couple fat boys, and they have some Titans in the back, and some Percivals. That's it. Are they using... You rarely see this in FAF. The fat boy is being used to produce T3 units, these Percivals and these Titans. You could just build them from the T3 factory and leave this mobile factory to being mobile. And this Aswasher lands a bomb directly on the shield, taking out more than half of its hit points in terms of the shield. The fat boy goes, I should probably move. These ASF need to be built up right quick. There is a SML, a strategic missile launcher, a nuke in the back line for Team 1. Let's see if they're able to use that. We are at the 45-minute mark. If you've been enjoying the cast so far, hopefully I haven't been a little too ranty this game. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of this support I've been getting from everyone, the likes, the comments, the subs. All of it helps motivate me to keep doing more of these casts, to keep improving, keep pushing myself. And again, I try to put one of these out every day at 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Again, thank you so much for watching. And let's get back onto the game. The mass totals have pretty much come together. They're about the same. Team 2 is now leading by about 20,000 mass, so not a huge amount, especially when it's 1.1 million mass total. And the mass totals, again, are for generated eco are in favor of Team 2. What are they shooting at? Oh, there's just an attack order on... They don't like this spot. Apparently, those RASCOMs, these two, do not like this spot in particular. Don't know why. Couldn't tell you why. They just don't like it. We have 3 battleships built up on this water section. We have 3, excuse me. We have 3 Atlantis. Look at these beauties. They can produce air units from underwater. Look at this. You can see the little... They're producing ASFs from their cargo holds, which, I mean, how much room is in there? Like, is there like a TARDIS-sized space in there where it's like bigger on the inside than it is on the outside kind of thing? Like, I don't know how that works. They could easily send these out and just obliterate all this. Take out the Yasows. All of these T3 gunships are dead. T3 battleships are dead. And you control the water. But again, it just comes down to a lack of aggression. You even have Yasows to fight Yasows. So it's very, it's frustrating. That's what I'm going to say. It's just very frustrating, especially when I've watched and casted games that are just, you can see the moves, you can see like even a couple moves ahead, and you're like, you have it, you just need to go, you need to push. These Yasows are not supported by these Atlantises, which this one hasn't even moved yet. And just look at all of those torpedoes coming off of those Yasows, fighting the other Yasows and just annihilating each other. Look at that. Which they could take out Atlantises pretty quick, but when you have 3 of them, there's a lot of damage. Again, just not a whole lot going on this southern side. Just kind of hanging out. A huge T1, T2 army just hanging out around this. You could, with the support of the air units, especially the bomber, just send it. Just send it. I sound like Shia LaBeouf, if you know that reference. We have the combo Mimi. He's moved, and his mass points are not built back up, and he's hanging out underneath the shield next to this next to this parashield. Underneath another shield. I just don't see any. We have a chicken. Team 2 is building a chicken when they have a Yasau, when they have an ass washer and a huge land army, and they're like, nah, we'll build a chicken because why not? And those Yasaus have moved up, and as you can see, these Atlantis have emerged. There's some T2 torpedo bombers out from the red player of Aldermaster as well, and it's just, yeah, look at all the damage these Atlantis can put out, and they've already taken out, like, the first one's dead, and this is the third one now. The fourth one is under construction. Look at those dead Atlantises. They're just like, save me, save me. They're like the Titanic at the bottom of the ocean, and then they're like, oh, let's go underneath the water because that'll protect us against those battleships. But you have the Yasaus to take care of, and you can still get ground fired, so it's not going to do a whole lot. They should have been pulled out when they had the chance, because this narrow channel that you have right here prevents a lot of movement, and you're like, oh, let me back up, and I'm dead. So it's just very disheartening. And you have these T3 battleships. They're going to start shelling anything and everything they can on this beach side, and you can see the range on these things. They can hit everything just from here. They can hit all of this. They move into this little cove here, and they can hit probably all the way to over here. Just a huge section of the base, and that's what could have happened for them had they taken the Navy, had they taken the water, and just spammed up anything and everything, because that would have diverted forces from the land and the air. That would have allowed them to build up over here. Just like it all compounds on one another. And this game is kind of like chess. You kind of have to think a couple steps ahead, like, oh, if I do this, then it could do this, and then it could lead to this. You gotta think a couple steps ahead. You can't think like 30 steps ahead, because it might change by the time you get to like step 10. But I do like to see that this Fat Boy is being used to take out the battleships. All these parashields here, actually not parashields, but the T3 mobile shield generators out from the Seraphim are being used to shield the Fat Boy. So just more and more and more and more shields, getting all those hit points. Looks like we had some ASFs, or maybe some, we had some strat bombers come in. I don't know what they were targeting. We have an ice washer. We have the ice washer, I should say, moving in over the top. We have a chicken bot. Is that the same chicken bot from earlier? Maybe it's the same chicken bot from earlier. Send it. Just send it. We're at 51 minutes, folks. 51 minutes. Ice washer overhead, taken out. Oh no, that's so many T3 units just dead. Oh no, that's gotta hurt. The ice washer of experimental bomber does go down. So, I mean, consolation prize. It's over here. Hard to get to with no engineers on the front line to do much of anything for either player. All of the engineers over here assisting the naval factory, though. We have that nuke out from the back line of Team 1. Going. Are they going to take the don't take the land army out. Don't take the. Just don't do it. Please don't do it. That is such a waste. Please don't do it. Okay, they're going further in. That's good to see. Like, even like, no, that's not really worth it. Like, go on the back line, take out this huge grid. But they have an SMD. It's loaded. They have another one in the clip, and it's taken out. And that was probably their one play, was we're going to hope that this nuke lands. But even if the nuke landed, just assuming the nuke landed, you have 2 chickens and a bunch of land forces. T1, T2, T3, and you even have more coming in. You have these Rambo presets just hanging out. They could be sent forward. You have everything in the kitchen sink being thrown at you. We have battleships just lobbing plasma constantly from the sea. This chicken is going to go down for Team 2, but pretty much not before taking out that fat boy. Good to see that these chickens are being used to just drive the spear forward. Takes out the other fat boy, gets another ranking vet, and just goes, no, I'm just going to die here now. And that's pretty much game. We have another strategic missile launcher in the back line. That could have been used. That mass could have been used to build another nuke. Gets diverted over here. Takes out all of this all of these SAMs, which will allow the air forces to come in if they had air forces. And looks like there's a counter push out from Team 1 going after the SML. So she's got missile defense, but that's a lot of shields to chew through, and I don't think they're going to get through that anytime soon. Their base is just in tatters. You could have had those gunships on the front line, taking out these chickens, taking out these battleships, and you're being aggressive too late. And your front line is just down. It's just super, again, super disappointing. Again, low-rated players, we got to cut them some slack. They're still learning, still trying to learn the ropes. The comm of the beast does go down. The rest of those defenses for him are going to go down. These RAS comms are going to die. And it's just the comm of name, which I don't... He ran. He's like, I'm out, see ya, bye. And is running along the edge. He's not going anywhere. And they've even pinged the comm. Takes out the rest of the base, going after the air factory, going after the HQ, taking out P-gens, taking out shields. Just going, that Novax is mine. I've been trying to kill that thing for like all game. Takes out the P-gen and the shield. That nuke is done and dusted, and the Strat Bombers have found the comm of name. Doesn't have a lot of hit points left. Dies very close to where Overlord died. And kaboom. That is a kill for Team 2 and a win for them as well. Thank you so much for watching. And if you also were like infuriated at points in this game, please let me know down in the comments. Again, it wasn't a bad game to cast. It's good for learning. It's good to see how we can improve, how everyone can improve, because the more you learn, the more you can prepare for. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.